She was called the People's Princess, but behind this beloved title was a woman, fragile, wounded, and deeply alone. Diana Spencer was not destined to become a global icon. Born into a noble but discreet family, she grew up in the shadows, between boarding schools and solitude. At 19, her life changed forever. She was chosen to marry Prince Charles, heir to the British throne. Their wedding, celebrated on July 29, 1981, was watched by more than 750 million people around the world. A massive gown, a golden carriage, cheering crowds. The world believed in a fairy tale. But very soon, Diana realized she wasn't living a dream. She was trapped in a gilded cage. Prince Charles remained distant. Despite appearances, he had never really ended his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, his former love. Diana, young and sensitive, felt betrayed, isolated, misunderstood. She suffered in silence. She developed eating disorders, deep depression, and recurring anxiety. At the palace, no one wanted to talk about that. Emotions had no place in the royal protocol, so she turned to others. Real people. She visited hospitals, orphanages, shelters. She held AIDS patients in her arms at a time when the world still feared them. She shook hands, looked people in the eye, listened to their pain. She brought light to where indifference reigned. Little by little, Diana distanced herself from the monarchy and grew closer to the public. Her gestures were not always approved by the royal family. She spoke too much, smiled too much, sometimes cried in public. She became uncontrollable and incredibly loved. The media followed her everywhere, chasing every emotion, every dress, every misstep. In 1992, she officially separated from Charles. The divorce was finalized in 1996. She lost her title of Her Royal Highness, but not the love of the people. For the first time in a long while, she seemed free. She began a new life. She traveled and became even more involved in humanitarian causes, especially the fight against landmines. She laughed again. She found a sense of peace, of lightness. And then came that final summer. In August 1997, Diana was in Paris, accompanied by Dodi Al-Fayed, her companion at the time. They were trying to escape a swarm of paparazzi. On the night of August 31st, just after midnight, their car entered the Alma Tunnel at high speed. Seconds later, the world changed forever. The crash was fatal. Dodi died instantly. Diana, still alive when help arrived, died shortly after from her injuries. She was 36 years old. The shock was global. People cried in the streets. Millions of flowers were laid outside Kensington Palace. Some spoke of conspiracy, others of a preventable tragedy. But everyone agreed on one thing: the world had lost a deeply human woman. But Diana's story didn't end there. Thousands of people came to the palace gates for days. There were candles, children's drawings, photographs, poems. Some cried openly, others stood silent, eyes full of sorrow. It was as if everyone had lost a sister, a friend, a voice that spoke for them. The funeral was held on September 6, 1997. Over 2 billion people watched the ceremony on television. Her sons, William and Harry, then aged 15 and 12, walked behind the coffin. The whole world watched that moment, heartbroken. On the coffin, a simple word, "Mummy," a child's word, in a moment of eternity. Diana was buried on an island in the heart of the Althorpe family estate, surrounded by trees and silence. A modest grave, almost hidden, just as she likely would have wanted. And yet, since her passing, she's been more present than ever. Entire generations still speak of her. Her style, her compassion, her gaze. She became an icon beyond glamour, a woman who dared to be vulnerable in a world frozen by appearances. Diana left a powerful legacy. Her sons, now grown men, still speak of the pain of losing her and the inspiration she gave them. Her humanitarian work lives on. Her acts of compassion became examples, and all over the world her name remains a symbol of courage, grace, and humanity. She didn't choose this life, she endured it, then transformed it. And in the end, she claimed it as her own. Perhaps that's why she continues to touch so many hearts. Because she dared to be imperfect. Because she loved, fell, and stood up again. Because she suffered, but never stopped loving. And you, what would you have said to Diana if you had just one moment with her? If her story speaks to you, follow for more, because some stars never fade.